I jacked in through the usual channels, subdermal uplink pulsing as the black ice faded from view. My rig hummed, wetware processing quantum feeds like a second heartbeat. This wasn't just a run, it was a deep dive past the firewall of existence itself. Destination, the quark grid. Not your everyday data vault, not some corpse synthetic vault space. Nah. This was the raw substrate of matter, the foundational code of the universe, written in a language of confinement, decay chains, and color cycles. A system where no lone entity survives, where every component is part of a self-reinforcing triad. The interface flickered. The world dissolved. I was falling, pulled past molecules, past atomic orbitals, into a place where logic warped and rules weren't just enforced. They were reality itself. I hit the quark lattice hard, my avatar stabilizing just in time to watch the colors shift, bleeding neon across the darkness. 3 nodes blinked into existence, red, green, blue. Not pigment, not light. These were color charges, the inescapable tags of the strong force, a whisper from the system. You are not alone. You cannot be alone. I reached for a node, but it pulsed away, dragged by an invisible tether. The grid would not allow singularity. Every quark demands partners. There are rules here, unbreakable ones. Coexistence, no independent agents. Solitude is forbidden, reinforcement. The more they interact, the tighter they bind. Causal chains, everything follows a prescribed sequence. No skipping steps. The gluons, hyperactive enforcers of the system, flashed like tachyon ghosts, rewriting color charges on the fly. The quarks didn't just sit there. They exchanged, evolved, adapted, swapping properties in an endless glitching dance. I watched a set lock into place, 3 quarks fusing into a baryon, their colors neutralizing like a completed subroutine. No loose ends, no gaps, only balanced states survive. I tried to pull free. Bad move. As I pushed outward, the field flexed back. The harder I pulled, the stronger it resisted. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just confinement, this was enforcement. The deeper I dove, the more the quark firewall adapted, tightening around me with impossible strength. The system didn't decay like the weak force, didn't dilute like electromagnetism. It scaled infinitely. A quantum prison where escape meant breaking reality itself. I reached again, grabbing at a single quark, trying to isolate it, extract it. The field flared in response, energy surging like a security lockdown. Then, crack! A new quark-antiquark pair burst into existence, restoring the balance I had tried to break. I swore hard. This place didn't allow anomalies. I wasn't breaking in. I was being absorbed. I stopped struggling. Time to rework the angle. Observe the system. Find the flaw. Quark interactions weren't just 2 body exchanges. The gluons, supposedly just force carriers, were active participants, shifting properties, exchanging momentum, rewriting the landscape as they moved. This wasn't a clean system. It was recursive, self-editing. A bug? No. A feature. I watched as a top quark decayed, a perfect pre-coded sequence, top to bottom to strange to down. No deviations, no exceptions. A pre-written transition sequence. Causality wasn't an open field here. It was a locked progression. That meant if I could interrupt the sequence, force a paradox, maybe I could trigger an error cascade. I scanned for vulnerabilities. Something unbound. Something that didn't play by the triadic laws. That's when I found them. Neutrinos, ghost particles slipping through the grid, ignoring the strong force entirely. These things weren't bound by triadic necessity. They were outsiders, unobserved, unaccounted for. Neutrinos didn't ask permission. They just left. I locked onto one, hitched a ride on its barely there signature, folded into its waveform like a rogue packet. And just like that, I broke containment. The grid fell away. My senses flooded back into meat space, body shaking as my rig dumped a hard cache of quantum residue into my neural buffer. I ripped out the uplink, gasping. I had seen the core, the machine language of existence. Triads weren't a fluke. They weren't an abstraction. They were the fundamental enforcement protocol behind reality. Everything, particles, interactions, even decay, adhered to logical triadic dependencies. No shortcuts, no lone agents. Every change required the right sequence, the right partners, the right interactions. Color neutrality restored. Connection terminated. But I wasn't the same. I had seen the architecture, and I knew the universe doesn't just run on rules, it runs on dependencies. Nothing is alone. Not quarks, not forces, not even us.